domestic terrorism, as we see the Biden administration's refusal to classify those who make violent anti-Semitic threats as just that. But I'm sure we all remember when domestic terrorism was last used as a classification.
On September 29, 2021, the president of the National School Boards Association sent a letter to President Biden requesting federal intervention in school board issues, invoking, among other statutes, the U.S. Patriot Act to prove that federal engagement was warranted. Her letter stated that the classification of these heinous actions could be the equivalent to a form of domestic terrorism and hate crimes.
Well, that was our next guest pointing out that this letter triggered the White House to order the FBI to investigate almost immediately, calling concerned parents showing up at a school board meeting domestic terrorists. Here to discuss the double standard is president of Parents Defending Education, Nicole Neely, and independent journalist and student at Point Park University, Logan Dubil. Thanks for joining us, guys. Nicole, parents were protesting peacefully at school board meetings and speaking out, and they were called domestic terrorists. But, for example, when a Cornell student calls for violence against Jewish students, threatening to shoot up the kosher dining hall, that's not a domestic terrorist?
Isn't it such an interesting double standard that we have?
Yeah, it's wild. I mean, this guy is threatening violence. He's saying he wants to kill people. I don't think the parents were threatening to kill people. Yeah, the double standards.
Parents who want the best for their children, who had no idea what was going on at public schools and were only privy to what's going on at public schools because COVID-19 forced everything to shut down, which forced parents to start paying attention to what was going on in the classroom. They're the domestic terrorists.
It makes no sense. Logan, I know that you're a student at Point Park in Pittsburgh, where that tragic Tree of Life synagogue shooting took place in 2018. Are you experiencing anything like what we're seeing at Cornell and many of these colleges across the country? Are you experiencing anti-Semitism on your campus? And do you feel safe on your campus right now?
Luckily, I haven't experienced anything as severe as what's going on at Cornell, but we still do have a lot of Jewish friends of mine who are a little bit worried. The University of Pittsburgh is a neighboring campus of mine, and they've already done 5 demonstrations of the month of October in support of not only Palestine, but of Hamas. These students are marching down the streets, saying anti-Semitic things, and that is still very concerning for sure.
Yeah. Nicole, do you think the White House has done enough to make it crystal clear to the American people that Hamas is a terrorist group and that anti-Semitic protests are just wrong?
Well, certainly Karine Jean-Pierre saying that Islamophobia was a bigger problem than anti-Semitism was surprising. I actually do give Joe Biden credit for holding the line on this, because we know that there are a lot of people just in the administration, kind of lower level staffers. Vice President Kamala Harris's staff has sent a letter to her saying that they want her to do more, that they feel this is a problem and that the administration has not been pro-Palestinian, pro-Hamas enough, which is astonishing. And so really the fact that Joe Biden is standing between us and the void is something that frightens me, quite honestly.
Yeah, and Kamala Harris, by the way, her husband is Jewish. I don't get why she is not more sensitive to something like this.
Yeah, you would expect that. So, Logan, according to the Anti-Defamation League, anti-Semitic incidents, get this, they've surged over 388% compared to this time last year. Does this reach a boiling point? Where does this end?
It ends when members of this administration are willing to call domestic terrorism what it is. And I think that it's one thing to release a statement or give a speech or two, but if you're not able to condemn the terrorism going on in the country and also on our campuses, it's going to continue to rise. And that's something that should scare everybody. I'm a higher education reporter, and over the past couple weeks, I've already seen students' dorm room doors lit on fire because they're Jewish. I've seen Jewish students trapped in a library with protesters banging on the door, and I've even seen professors refer to the current conflict as exhilarating. So this needs to be condemned for what it is, and like I said, these numbers will continue to rise if people aren't willing to condemn this.
Keep doing what you're doing, Logan. Keep reporting and bringing this stuff to light. It does feel like, and Nicole, we've talked about this before, but it feels like we're building towards something with these protests. It's going to get violent at some point, and that's where the real concern is. Thank you both for being with us. Nicole Neely, Logan Dubil, thank you.